You lost money today, and yesterday, and every day before that.
On November 11th, 2022, a company called FTX filed for bankruptcy. The day before, customers thought they had billions of dollars in Bitcoin sitting on the platform. The day after, they had nothing. The money was gone. The Bitcoin was gone. The CEO was on his way to prison. And the people who trusted him, they got in line behind every other creditor and waited for scraps. If your Bitcoin lived on FTX that morning, it wasn't your Bitcoin anymore. This isn't a Bitcoin failure. This is what happens every single time someone else holds your money. Mt. Gox in 2014, Celsius in 2022, Voyager, BlockFi, different names, same story. They held the keys, you held a promise, and when the promise broke, you found out which one was real. Last episode, we covered the basics. Where to buy Bitcoin, what a wallet is, why seed phrases matter. Today, we're going one level deeper, because owning Bitcoin and taking custody of Bitcoin are two different things, and the gap between them is exactly where most people get wrecked. Welcome to Exit Velocity. I'm Justin, and this is episode 12. Your keys, your future. Let's start with the phrase you'll hear 1,000 times if you stay in Bitcoin long enough. Not your keys, not your coins. It sounds like a slogan. It's actually a description of how Bitcoin works at the protocol level. And until you really understand it, every other decision you make in Bitcoin will be slightly off. Here's the misconception almost everyone starts with. People think Bitcoin lives inside a wallet, the way dollars live inside a checking account. They picture little digital coins stored on their phone or sitting on a hardware device or saved in some folder somewhere. None of that is what's actually happening. Bitcoin lives on the blockchain. The blockchain is a public ledger, a giant shared spreadsheet that lists every Bitcoin in existence and which address holds it right now. That ledger exists on tens of thousands of computers around the world, all running the same software, all agreeing on the same numbers. Your wallet doesn't store Bitcoin. Your wallet stores the key that proves you control a specific entry on that ledger. The deed to a house analogy gets close. The house doesn't live in the deed. The deed just proves you own the house. If someone steals your deed and forges your signature, they can transfer your house out from under you, even though the house never moved an inch. Bitcoin works the same way. The Bitcoin never moves. The key proves who can spend it. And now the upgrade from last episode. A private key isn't really a password. It's a signing tool. When you send Bitcoin, your wallet doesn't unlock anything. It signs a message. That signature is mathematical proof that whoever holds the key authorized this specific transaction. The network can verify the signature without ever seeing the key itself. Nobody, not the exchange, not a miner, not the developers, ever sees your private key. They just see the signature, check it against the public address, and move on. That's why not your keys, not your coins matters. If someone else holds the key, they can sign on your behalf. They are mathematically the owner. You are just hoping they're honest. So how does a Bitcoin transaction actually work? Once you understand this, everything else makes more sense. 3 steps: construct, sign, broadcast. Step 1, construct. Your wallet builds a transaction. It says, I'm taking these specific coins, sending this amount to this address, and paying this fee to the miners. The transaction is just text. It's small, a few hundred bytes. Step 2, sign. Your wallet uses your private key to cryptographically sign the transaction. This is the magic part. The signature is unique to that specific transaction. You can't reuse it. You can't modify the transaction without invalidating the signature. The signature is mathematical proof that the holder of the key authorized exactly this movement and nothing else. Step 3, broadcast. Your wallet sends the signed transaction to the Bitcoin network. Within seconds, every node on the network has a copy. They all check the signature, they all confirm the coins are real, and then they wait for a miner to include the transaction in the next block. Here's where the 10 minutes comes in. Bitcoin blocks happen roughly every 10 minutes. That's by design. Each block can hold a couple thousand transactions. Miners are competing to find the next block, and they prioritize transactions that pay higher fees because that's how they get paid. When your transaction gets included in a block, that's one confirmation. Each new block built on top of yours adds another confirmation. Exchanges typically wait for 6 confirmations before they consider a deposit final. That's about an hour. Why 6? because the deeper your transaction is buried in the chain, the more expensive it would be for anyone to try to reverse it. After 6 confirmations, reversing would require an attacker to outwork the entire global mining network. It's never happened. The math says it never will. This is why fees exist and why fees fluctuate. Block space is finite. Demand for that space changes minute to minute. When the network is busy, during a price rally, during a meme coin frenzy, during a major news event, fees spike. When things are quiet, fees drop. You can pay a high fee to get into the next block, or a low fee and wait a few hours. That's the trade-off. And here's the part credit card companies will never tell you. Once you broadcast a Bitcoin transaction and it's confirmed, it cannot be reversed. There's no chargeback. There's no, I didn't authorize this call to the bank. The signature was valid, the transaction is final, and that's the end of it. People treat that as a downside. It's not. It's exactly what makes Bitcoin useful. Final settlement. Every 10 minutes, anywhere on Earth. No bank can freeze it. No government can claw it back. It's done. Quick note on addresses, because this is where a lot of beginners get nervous. A Bitcoin address is a string of letters and numbers that identifies where Bitcoin is going. You'll see them in a few different formats. Older addresses start with a 1, slightly newer ones start with a 3. The modern format, called BEC32 or native SegWit, starts with BC1. All 3 work. The BC1 addresses are slightly cheaper to send to, so most modern wallets generate those by default. Here's the most important rule about addresses. Every time you receive Bitcoin, your wallet generates a brand new address for that incoming payment. This isn't a bug. It's a privacy feature. Reusing the same address forever lets anyone watching the blockchain link all of your payments together. New address every time means harder to trace. Your wallet handles this automatically. Your old addresses still work, but you should always use the freshly generated one. And the rule that saved millions of dollars from disaster: always send a tiny test amount first when you're sending to an address for the first time. Always. Copy-paste isn't always safe. Clipboard hijacking malware is real. We'll come back to this in a minute. Now we get to the concept that nobody explains plainly: UTXOs. UTXO stands for Unspent Transaction Output. Sounds intimidating. Isn't. Here's the easiest way to understand it. Imagine your money is cash, not numbers in a bank account. You don't have a balance. You have specific bills and specific denominations sitting in your wallet. A 20, 2 5s, a handful of ones. When you go to buy a coffee that costs $4, you don't slice up one of your bills. You hand over a 5, and the cashier gives you $1 back. The 5 you handed over is gone. The $1 you got back is a new bill in your wallet. That's exactly how Bitcoin works. Bitcoin doesn't track balances. It tracks unspent outputs, UTXOs. When someone sent you Bitcoin in the past, that transaction created a UTXO with your name on it. Maybe you've received Bitcoin 10 times. That means you have 10 UTXOs sitting on the blockchain, each one a different size, each one tagged to your key. When you go to spend Bitcoin, your wallet picks one or more of those UTXOs, uses them as inputs, and creates new UTXOs as outputs. One output goes to the person you're paying. Another output, the change, comes back to a new address you control. The original UTXOs are now spent. They no longer exist on the ledger. The new ones do. So if you have a UTXO worth 0.1 Bitcoin and you want to send 0.03 Bitcoin to a friend, your wallet spends the whole 0.1, sends 0.03 to your friend, and creates a new UTXO of 0.07 minus fees sent back to you. The 0.1 is gone forever. 2 new UTXOs exist in its place. Why does this matter for you, the person just trying to hold Bitcoin? 3 reasons. First, privacy. UTXOs can be tracked. If a chain analysis firm can connect a UTXO to your identity through an exchange withdrawal, they can follow it forward. Anyone who watches Bitcoin transactions can see this UTXO came from this exchange withdrawal, or this UTXO was sent to this merchant. This is why advanced users care about UTXO management, keeping certain coins separate from others. Second, fees. The more UTXOs your wallet has to combine to make a payment, the more data your transaction contains, the higher the fee. If you accumulate Bitcoin through 50 small recurring buys, you'll have 50 tiny UTXOs. The day you want to spend a meaningful amount, your wallet may need to combine all 50, and the fee will be brutal. People with very small UTXOs sometimes find they can't even spend them when fees are high, because the fee would cost more than the UTXO is worth. That's called dust, and it's a real problem. Third, backup planning. When you back up your wallet, you're backing up your seed phrase, which can recover every UTXO that key has ever received. Doesn't matter if you got the Bitcoin in one transaction or in 100. The seed restores all of them. This is what makes Bitcoin backup so powerful. One seed phrase, written on paper, restores your entire stack from anywhere in the world. If you ever want to actually see your UTXOs, open a wallet with a coin control feature. Sparrow Wallet is the easiest. You'll see a list of every individual UTXO you own, the amount, the date, the source. That's what you actually have. That's what Bitcoin ownership looks like at the protocol level. Okay, theory's done. Let's talk about how you actually move from Bitcoin sitting on an exchange to Bitcoin in your own custody. 6 steps. Don't skip any. Step 1. Get a hardware wallet. We covered this in EP11. Coldcard, Trezor, bitkey. Buy it from the manufacturer's official website, not Amazon, not eBay. Counterfeit and pre-tampered devices are a real problem. Order direct. Step 2. Set it up offline. Unbox it in a quiet room. Initialize it. Let the device generate a brand new seed phrase. Write down every word in order on the paper card it comes with. Don't take a photo. Don't type it into a notes app. Pen on paper. 12 or 24 words depending on the device. This is the master key to your Bitcoin. Treat it accordingly. Step 3. Receive a test amount. This is the step everyone wants to skip. Don't. Take $5 worth of Bitcoin, yes, just 5, and send it from your exchange to your hardware wallet. Wait for it to confirm. Open your wallet software and confirm you can see it. This proves the receiving address worked. This proves your wallet is set up correctly. $5 is nothing if it goes wrong. 5,000 is a disaster. And here's the part of step 3 that matters most. When your wallet shows you the receiving address, your hardware wallet should display the same address on its own little screen. Compare them character by character. The first 4 characters, the last 4 characters. They have to match. This is the defense against a specific kind of malware, Clipboard hijackers, that silently swap a Bitcoin address you copied for one the attacker controls. Your computer might show the right address. Your hardware wallet, which has no internet connection, can't be hijacked. If the 2 screens disagree, do not send. The hardware wallet is the source of truth. This is what you're paying for. Step 4. Send the test amount back. Now do the reverse. Send that $5 from your hardware wallet back to your exchange. This proves you can actually spend from the device. It proves you understand the signing process. It proves the seed phrase you wrote down genuinely controls the coins. Step 5. Now move the real stack. Once both directions work, exchange to wallet, wallet to exchange, and only then you transfer the real amount. And here's a tip. Do it in 2 or 3 pieces over a couple of days, not all at once. If something goes wrong, you want it to go wrong on the smaller batch. Step 6. The step 90% of people skip. Verify your backup. Wipe the hardware wallet completely. Then restore it from your seed phrase. If the same UTXOs appear after the restore, you have a real backup. If they don't, you wrote down the seed wrong, and you just dodged a catastrophe by discovering it now instead of in 5 years when your device dies. Test the restore before you trust it. Always. 3 mistakes wreck self-custody more than any others. Avoid them. Mistake 1. Never testing the restore. Your seed phrase isn't real until you've used it to recover your wallet at least once. Until you've done that, you're hoping. Hope is not a backup strategy. Test it the day you set it up. Mistake 2. Storing your seed near your hardware wallet. People keep them in the same drawer, same safe, same room. The whole point of a hardware wallet is that physical access to the device doesn't help an attacker without the seed. If you store them together, you've collapsed the entire security model. Separate locations. At minimum, different rooms. Ideally, different buildings. Mistake 3. Skipping the small amount test transaction. People hear transfer to self-custody and immediately send their entire life savings as their very first on-chain action. Don't. Test with $5. Then send the real money. Every Bitcoiner who's been around more than a year has heard the story of someone who sent 6 figures to a wrong address because they fat-fingered one character. The blockchain doesn't have customer support. Here's why this matters beyond the paranoia. Self-custody is the single thing that makes Bitcoin categorically different from every other financial asset that has ever existed. When you hold stocks, you don't really hold stocks. Your broker holds them in their name, on your behalf, in something called street name. When you hold cash in a bank, you don't really hold cash. The bank holds an IOU. When you hold gold in an ETF, you don't hold gold. You hold a claim on a vault you'll never see. Every traditional asset is custodied by someone else. You are always a customer somewhere, hoping the counterparty stays solvent and honest. Bitcoin is the first asset in history where individuals can hold it directly, with no counterparty, with no permission, with no intermediary, anywhere on earth, for free. You hold the keys. You hold the future. No bank can freeze it. No government can debase it. No company can lose it on your behalf. That's not a slogan. That's the actual property that makes Bitcoin worth understanding in the first place. If you skip self-custody, you skip the entire point. You're just holding a different colored dollar in a different colored bank. The whole thing only works when you take the keys. Next episode, we tackle the obvious problem with everything we just learned. Bitcoin transactions take 10 minutes to confirm and cost real fees. So how does anyone actually buy a coffee with this? How does Bitcoin scale to billions of people without the fees going to the moon? That's where the Lightning Network comes in. It's Bitcoin's second layer. It's how Bitcoin becomes money you can actually use. That's episode 13, Lightning. Bitcoin at the speed of the internet. We are exit velocity. Think in Bitcoin.